Welcome back, CFB Nation. I'm your host, Nino Brown. I found this guy. He said, yo, I know some stuff about college football. You want to talk? I says, let's go. I'm just BSing with you. I have my brother from another mother, Jared Gray, a.k.a. Boomer. It's been a while. My man's got a crazy hectic schedule. But I hit him with a topic that I think was just too hard for him to say no about. So how we doing tonight, Jared?
Man, I'm good. Like you said, it's been hectic. Finally, a lot of stuff behind me. Graduation's Friday, so just a huge load off me, to be honest with you. I'm done coaching for the winter. I'm done. I only got CFB Nation and work at this point. So and the kids. So
That's easy stuff. You're used to doing that now. That's like
yeah. That's cakewalk.
You did that in your sleep for the whole school semester. So I asked you, and we kind of talked about it the other day, and I said, you know what, we got to bring this to the people because as I thought, you do this to me on purpose. I've come to this conclusion that you like to send me down these rabbit holes of nonsense topics, and then I just keep going farther and farther. And we said, is Lincoln Riley really like this QB whisperer, or is he just a fraud? Like, we agree that he's a great offensive mind, right? And
I think he's the greatest offensive mind in college football.
And you know what? I'm here for. I mean, I may not say he's the
greatest. He's got a photographic memory. Yeah, I mean,
top 3 at least for me.
I'll agree with you, without a doubt.
But like we all hear, oh, he's like the QB whisperer. He, quarterbacks that don't quote unquote do well prior to going to Lincoln Riley do well with Lincoln Riley. Somehow this is what they tell us, right? Well, it was 2017 was his first year, correct? Oklahoma.
Yeah, as the offensive coordinator.
And that's when your boy came in, correct? Baker Mayfield.
So Baker came over with as a walk-on with Bob Stoops after winning 8 games at Texas Tech, by the way, as a walk-on true freshman. So,
and he had, your boy was just, the help at the time, correct? Right?
Yes.
And Baker threw for 4,600 yards, and did his thing. But every year he was there, he did his thing. Not necessarily when Lincoln was like in his pocket. You know what I'm saying? And he didn't necessarily need Lincoln because when you're a walk-on and you put out 8 games on film and show that you had it, and if you had played a full season, where there would have been no questions. I don't know if necessarily Lincoln Riley did much for Baker Mayfield. What are your thoughts there before we move on?
So Baker's the greatest walk-on of all time, ever. I mean, walk on 2 different programs, win a Heisman Trophy, win the Burlsworth, right? If he plays every game and doesn't get hurt, and I understand who's behind him, right, at Texas Tech, but if he plays every game that freshman season, he probably wins the Burlsworth as a freshman. So, I mean, what other quarterback, can tell me that they won 8 games as a walk-on, especially when they had 3 guys on scholarship. So,
right,
you get injured, obviously big falling out. Wears the Trader shirt to the Texas Tech game after he transfers to OU. So the moxie is just there. And right. I think that him and Lincoln Riley had a bond, like just a phenomenal bond, which makes it easier, right? Like I said, great offensive coordinator. But we're already talking about a top 5 program in Oklahoma in the AP. So, no, I don't think that Bob Stoops had Sam Bradford, Jason White, and then Baker Mayfield. Not to mention we got guys like Nate Hibble, who had, a good career. Thompson, Red Bomar, who's, a phenomenal recruit. Stoops could not only coach, he could recruit like crazy. So, where his quarterback's phenomenal in the pros, no, they got injured. That's just, we can't ever say that, hey, Bob Stoops was a great quarterback whisperer too, because one guy had two ACL injuries in college. The other one, shoulder surgery. Sure, he had a decent career in Sam Bradford, but
Never lived up
Baker's
to the
a different breed, bro.
Yeah. No, I agree. He transferred in, and transfer in seems to kind of be like the MO here, because the next gentleman in 18, Kyler Murray, comes over, right?
Greatest Texas quarterback, high school Texas quarterback ever. Maybe greatest Texas football player of all time.
Picked the wrong, well, not anymore, because I believe, well, at Texas, yes, but I believe his record got broke by DJ Lagway, right, for most total touchdowns in a season as a senior. I'm pretty sure he beat it.
Well, maybe seriously, but the dude never lost as a starter and won 4 state championships. So
yeah,
nobody will beat that. I mean, that's impossible.
So he transfers in, right, from A&M, when he admitted that he committed to the wrong school. He said that right off the rip. I went to the wrong school, whatever. But what did Lincoln Riley really do for Kyler Murray? Like,
I would argue Baker did something for Kyler Murray.
Okay,
right?
Talk to me.
So we agree Baker Mayfield, really great quarterback. I mean, phenomenal college quarterback.
Right.
Seems to be a very good mentor to a lot of guys. I mean, one thing that the Browns said when the main reason they decided they want to get him is like his command. He made like a noise at pro day, like woo, and everybody's like, shoo. And here comes everybody, right? So the leadership was there, the mentorship was there. He saw the struggles of like, hey, you're a good quarterback, and the pressure's a lot on you, right? Kyler was a good quarterback with a lot of pressure on him because of, he's the number one quarterback in the country coming out of high school. So he got to sit back, learn the offense, see a guy run an offense like a savage. And I would say he learned as much or more from the guy that was playing above him than the coach that ended up coming in because Stoops was originally there. So I'll continue later in a second. So
yeah, I know. I figured that. Like I said, Kyler had to take that hit that people don't have to take anymore, right? He had to lose a year when he transferred over, so he had, in 16 he had to sit,
which is also Baker Mayfield's fault because the Baker Mayfield rule,
right?
On being able to transfer, in conference and not getting in trouble, and now just transferring in and be able to play. Period. So we call it the Baker Mayfield rule now,
which they seem to be rescinding now as of like today. There's a new rule, lawsuit, whatever going in that the Tez Walker issue should never happen again, right? Like you could transfer multiple times with no excuse anymore. Is what they're trying to push through.
Yeah.
But all right, so Kyler came 1,000 yards on the ground, 4,000 yards in the air, 40-something touchdowns, and he was a dude. But this is what he was coming out of high school. Like, you don't win 4 championships in a row. You don't hold the record for the most combined touchdowns ever in high school and need to be groomed. Like, you're a dude already. You know what I'm saying? You just made a mistake that you admitted to by going to the wrong school. Cool. Okay. Boom. You went to a top 5 program. Was Lincoln Riley that much of an asset to him? I don't know. I honestly don't know, because
I will give you the one quarterback that I think that he helped the most draft stock wise.
Jalen Hurts.
Transfer in Jalen Hurts, who also won a national, 2 national championships as a starting quarterback. Whether we want to say it or not, he was still the starter when when he got replaced by Tua. And I understand it was a crazy game, but he won a national championship being a game manager. I think going to Oklahoma let him get out of his shell. That was the biggest difference. You know what I mean? And
yeah, he didn't have that heat behind him, right? You know what I mean? Like he was going somewhere new environment. But we've seen that with Bo. We've seen that with other quarterbacks that recently.
But again, this is the leadership side of it. Hurts might be one of the best leaders that I've ever seen. So
you see it at Philly every week, week in, week out. He's commanding that room, and he's that guy over there. But like, all right, yeah, he threw for 3,800 yards, 3,851 yards that year, right? And he was 69% completion, I believe. That the big year for him at Oklahoma. But I mean, in Alabama, it wasn't like he was terrible. Yes, he had some bad games, but he threw for like 2,400 yards. He had 17, 18 touchdowns. Like, yes, it wasn't 30, okay? But he wasn't like chopped liver. Yes, he went there
Yeah,
and got better. Did he get better because he mentally got better or because Lincoln Riley made him better? I don't know if he made him better.
I think he just dug deeper into the playbook and tried to become better because I think he realized for him to become a professional football player, he needed to go to a program that he could kind of show off, which was his running and his passing. And so his draft stock definitely helped there. That was without a doubt, especially not being able to play behind Tua. It was just a good decision on him. But I think his leadership side is what made him and still makes him to who he is today.
He had trouble with a deep pass. We know that, right? Like
And
that's
the
the
deep
trouble.
sideline pass still.
Right. That is what ultimately got him benched for Tua. Right. When you're throwing wide open guys and you're missing them, that's an issue.
Mhm.
But Saban told him, go to Oklahoma. This is where you need to go. And so everybody believes it's because of Lincoln Riley, which it very well could have been. You know what I mean? We don't know. I wasn't there. I wasn't a fly on that wall or in that room every week when they were going through film and coaching and all that stuff. But what I see beforehand and what I see during and what I see afterwards, maybe Lincoln Riley was able to get the best out of him. I don't know if he really did much for him. And I'm going to pause on going down the list here because as I went through, I'm like, okay, well, they seem to get somewhat better. These couple of guys, right, that have been there. But why can't you develop the talent that was there? Tanner Mordecai was at Oklahoma, okay? 300 yards, 300 yards, 400 yards. You didn't see anything in the kid, right? You couldn't develop him to be what you wanted at Oklahoma, so you went to the portal and got a guy. Well, Tanner Mordecai went on to SMU and went off like big numbers, 30 touchdowns, 3,600 yards. Why, if you're the whisperer, why couldn't you get that out of him, right? Austin Kendall, another gentleman that you had on the squad, didn't get much time, barely played.
That dude
Went to
was a
Virginia,
dog in high school too.
West Virginia, 2K passing, 12 touchdowns. You know what? I'm going to try somewhere. Went to La Tech. Did it again. 2,100 yards, 13 touchdowns. If you're this dude that's so good at being a QB developer and gets the best out of these guys, why couldn't you get it out of these guys? Another guy, Chandler Morris, came in as a freshman coming out of high school, an absolute stud coming out of high school. We see him in that one game he played against Baylor, lit it up for 500 yards, 3 touchdowns, right, for TCU 2 years ago. I say TCU because he transferred out because he couldn't get no playing time because you couldn't develop him, which you were supposedly the guy. Now let's come back to recent guys, big name guys that we want to talk about. The elephant in the room, I would say, Spencer Rattler, right? Kid goes Oklahoma, come out of Netflix, hottest stinks and sliced bread. Straight up. You know the deal, right? Has a decent year. Decent year already. But we knew he was a dude coming in. Like, you knew he had it.
I mean, number one quarterback in the country coming out of high school. So
Right. I mean, you don't put him on Netflix for nothing, right? They didn't put this is before this thing was a social media and this Netflix and all these documentary series was a thing. Like this, he was the originator of it for these college kids, right? Had a good year, freshman year. Sophomore year, things start to get a little bit twisted, right? But if you look at the numbers for when Caleb came in, Spencer Rattler was better outside of touchdowns. Completion percentage, 10% better. He was 74% completion percentage. Caleb was at like 65, right? Now, Caleb, I'll beat him when it comes to touchdowns and on the ground. He threw for 20-something touchdowns. Rattler only had 11. And I believe he had half the interceptions, okay? But the problem was Rattler's interceptions were on the deep ball that he had trouble with. All of a sudden, though, in the second year, because the first year there was no trouble with the deep ball, really. He got it there. You know what I mean? Like he was able to place it. It seemed like in the second year, he something came unglued, right? But if you're the dude, you are the QB whisperer. You're supposed to be able to fix that, right? Not bench the kid for the easy layup.
So
Talk.
here's the thing. Spencer Rattler became a hero in what game?
Uh,
The same game he became the
villain.
scapegoat in.
Yes, the exact first half, second half.
So he became the guy in the second half of the Texas game, right? He you know, he had a bad first half. They benched him. They brought him back in. They're like, okay, you know, let's get your head right. First of all, you should never do that to your quarterback, your QB1, because then you're losing, you know. And then Spencer Rattler takes over in the mental side, like, you know what, me, Stoops, Mims, we gotta play. And they end up winning that ball game in overtime. Defense really played pretty good in the second half. Then fast forward to Texas the following year, you bring Caleb Williams in, who went to the same area, you know, was groomed really well in high school, who had 52 touchdown passes in high school to break Trevor Lawrence's record, right? Interesting coaches. I'm just saying. Let's talk about who their high school coach was. And then he comes in, balls out. I mean, I think we all agree Caleb Williams is different talent-wise, phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, absolutely. Spencer Rattler has, you know, intangibles to be a really good quarterback. He's accurate. He's very accurate. 77%, you know, 2 years in a row at Oklahoma. And even when they took him out, he was 7% before he transferred. The problem is he didn't have a bond with the next 4 quarterbacks after Baker. He tried to be, this is my way or the highway. Mm-hmm. Let's not bond. Let's not groom. You're going to run my offense. And if it doesn't work out, guess what? I'll find somebody else.
Yep.
And he hasn't brought in a quarterback guy to be a good quarterback coach, because it's his offense. I don't want you to change things for me. This is my thing. Don't get me wrong. I think his offense is great. It's very friendly. It's very Kyle Shanahan-esque for college. So, yes. But you need a quarterback that can, one, be mobile. Whether you loved it or not, Baker Mayfield still ran for 1,000 yards, right? Jalen Hurts, same. Kyler Murray, same. Caleb Williams, same, right? You need a guy that's mobile, has an elite talent arm, and is willing to basically throw you routes. The problem is all 4 of those quarterbacks are Heisman Trophy caliber quarterbacks. Even now, I mean, we'll make the argument that all 4 of those quarterbacks are very good pro quarterbacks. They're not great. You know, Baker's not great. You know, we can look at the numbers. He's dead even with Tom Brady right now, to be honest with you, in his first 85 games. But again, in Baker's aspect, he's had to go from the opposite, a real stable, phenomenal college program, to a very unstable pro career, right? All the coaches. Lincoln Riley went into a very stable aspect career at Oklahoma, sitting pretty, wants to, you know, chase the money and show that he's the guy, mm-hmm. right? Listen, the guy can recruit offensive players.
Yeah.
And you can't recruit a defensive player to save his life. You know, and with all the players that you've seen come in, especially you saw at USC, he isn't willing to groom them. Look how many guys are transferred out, let alone transferred in. Because they were like, oh, it's shiny new toy. Let's have 23 transfer ins. And then you lost 4 or 5 stars. Mm-hmm. And your quarterback is crying on the sidelines in multiple games because you can't build the defense. You can't mold your quarterback. And there's rumors that he might transfer. If he transfers, let's be real here. Lincoln Riley better jump ship. Plain and simple, because we know who the coach he relieved and what his record is. Right? Caleb Williams won one bowl game at Oklahoma, and Bob Stoops was the head coach. Interesting.
Lincoln Riley's only won one bowl game. He's 1 out of 5. That's real good, right? Real good.
And blew it, by the way. I mean, he absolutely blew the Georgia game.
Oh, yeah. Like, the thing is, I wanted to save this to the end, but I can't because you kind of set me up.
I do that.
He is a mirror image of his counterpart. His Cliff Kingsbury 2.0. That's what he is, dude. He is a great offensive schemed mind who can't figure out defense to save his life and goes and gets the hardest QB he can because you haven't developed a goddamn quarterback yet. And the reason why I stand on this hill is because when you have the opportunity to show and put that thing on the table and show them how good of a QB developer you are, all the rumors are is you're going to go get Will Howard instead of developing Mekhi Nelson. Why would you not develop this 5-star quarterback that you have that came in knowing he was going to sit 1 year behind Caleb and learn, and then you were going to put him in the pocket and let this kid roll? If you're as good as you say you are, if you're as good as advertised, you don't hit the portal for a kid that's leaving Kansas State. Now, Will Howard's a dude. Don't get me wrong, right? But you got a 5-star kid ready to pop, and you're afraid because you're not him.
Also, arguably the best quarterback in the country coming out of high school. You know, to some people, right? Not you and me, but I mean, this guy. We would argue if you put Nelson in the same class as Nix and Rattler, he'd have been the number 1 guy that year.
Oh yeah, he's right there. I mean, obviously, you know, the guys Arnold and the rest of these guys in this class, but he was a top 5 QB recruit in this class. Why are you not trying to develop this kid? Why? I understand. And I've been saying this for a while when it comes to all these realignment schools. They're afraid to go into the school with fresh meat. My guy's afraid too, bro. Dan Lanning went out and got Dylan Gabriel because he was not ready to step into the Big Ten with Austin Novosad. I love Austin Novosad. I think he's got a bright future and he's going to be a dude. But you put him in the Big Ten year 1 and he gets eaten up, you're putting this kid 10 steps backwards. You can't.
I'll be honest with you. If you look at Novosad's game in high school, you and me talked about this before he went to Oregon. We were like, man, he looked good at like Michigan or Northwestern or Wisconsin or Minnesota because his game looks like he's a Big Ten quarterback.
Yes.
So why, in that aspect, that you know, and for your aspect, we agree. We want to groom him into a Big Ten quarterback, right? And that's why he's a little worried about Dylan. You know, you bring in the talent. I understand that, right? By the way, we need to rewind that. I said he would go 35-3, and what he went 35-3, Dylan Gabriel. So, I remember our conversation. So I'm just a mental thing here. But I'm with you. Listen, all these transfer quarterbacks, all these guys, and here's my thing: is Caleb hasn't said he's going to go to the draft yet.
No.
If he transfers.
Oh, it's the biggest indictment on Lincoln Riley ever.
Lincoln Riley has, in my opinion, one option.
Cam Ward. It's the only option he has. He'd have to go get Cam Ward and say, look, I made Cam Ward take the next step, and he got drafted in the 1st round. That's the only way he can save this whole MO that he's got going on. Is to get
I don't think that's making Cam Ward take the next step because I think we agree that doesn't he like the perfect mold for that offense because he likes an athletic quarterback who can throw and run?
Yes, but that's what I'm saying. It's an easy move. It's a lateral move. You know what I'm saying? You're not trying not saying.
In my opinion, the only way he can save his career in college is to develop Nelson. Period.
He's never going to have a chance to develop Nelson because I'm going to tell you something right now. He brings in Will Howard. Nelson hits the portal.
100%. Just like Brown did. His star running back that he recruited.
And he tried to change to a wide receiver, bro. You took a 5-star running back and put him at wide receiver. Dude hits the portal, and immediately in the first line he put in his social media, I'm a running back. How good are you at developing talent, bro? They can come to you, but how good are you really at developing talent, especially in the quarterback position? I think it's a big facade. I think Lincoln Riley is wearing this. He's wearing this mask. He's fooled so many people. Yeah, I look at his brother's a great offensive mind, right? Like you can be a great offensive mind, but
Is he?
I think Dabo's kind of a part of that. But that's a story for
Well,
another episode.
think about it. Who's his coach at TCU? Who I think we agree is a great offensive mind.
Yeah, yeah.
Hugh Freeze was a dude in every single program he's went to. He has made that school play well. SMU was a dude. I mean, that's a guy who can develop quarterbacks. Ask Tanner Mordecai. What's he do after he left there?
Yeah. It went to Wisconsin, right? How'd that go?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that this is kind of like the levy for him. If you don't develop Nelson, I'm out, bro. I think that you are just a fraud. I think you are not a real QB guy. I think you just walk away and take the easiest route possible. Yes, you may make this
If
kid
he
that's
has a very average career, if he has an average year this year, let's be honest, he's doing one of two things. He's trying to stay and milk this, massive contract he's got, or two, he has to try to go pro, and it might not be as a head coach.
that's what I was gonna say. If he doesn't hit in the portal or develop Nelson to look like he's got possibility to be a kid in the top 5 QB in the run, I don't know if his future in head coaching is existent after that. I think he's going to go back to being an offensive coordinator. Who in the NFL is going to take the risk to put this guy a head coach, knowing that, like, okay, if you look at it though, Cliff and him, they're going down very similar parallel paths.
Extremely similar paths.
And they're boys, right? 2 peas in a pod. Like I like Lincoln Riley. Like I said, I'll reiterate again. I think he's a very good offensive mind. I just think somewhere along the line, somebody said, hey, Lincoln Riley's the QB whisperer. He does really good. Look what he does. And everybody just ran with it because you just see guys that he's on his team that are in the QB position go and do well. He got 4 Heisman quarterbacks. If you are that damn good, every program in the world, every NFL team in the country is knocking at your door. I'll give you everything. Yes, USC bought you 2 houses. They paid for one. They bought you everything you need. The NFL money's way more real. You don't think that dude David Tippin would be throwing the whole yacht, the island, everything at Lincoln Riley if he was the dude? I need help. Bryce Young needs development fast, Lincoln. I'll give you everything you got. Ain't no talk to him. Nobody's calling Lincoln Riley. He's kind of worried that his seat might be a little hot, to be honest with you. Because if they don't make the 12-team playoff next year, he's fired.
100%. I'm with you.
And I don't know going into a new division that he's going to make the 12-team playoff next year.
Here's the thing: is he at a minimum needs to be in the conference championship.
Yes,
at a minimum.
I don't think he can.
Yeah, I don't.
I'm going to plant my flag right now.
He hasn't recruited like Ohio State and Michigan has, that's for sure.
Zachariah Branch will not be a USC Trojan by the end of next season. And you can put that in your pipe and smoke it. He wants to be a winner. He's a playmaker. And
I will tell you now, if Williams says I'm leaving, he might leave.
What, transfers? Yes. I don't know if Williams is going to come back another year. Because of this thing, you risk that injury factor, okay? You're literally the number 1 pick. You've been the number 1 pick for 2 years, right? You risk throwing that all away.
Agreed.
Yes, and NIL money is great. It's not $35 million. You're in the top 3 picks. It's $35 million with endorsements and your first contract. The same reason why Marvin Harrison is not coming back to college football. I'm sorry, people. It sounds good. You like it. It would be a cool thing, right? It's just too much money. You're literally jeopardizing your future.
I mean, whether we want to admit to it, everybody talks about the NFL contract. It's the endorsements.
Exactly.
They're gonna make $100 million with Nike. So
as the first one, never mind everything else that he'll probably get, DoorDash and this one and that one. This guy will be on New Year's Eve commercials.
He's already got Dr. Pepper, so
that's what I'm saying. So it's like it's bound to happen. Boom. This has been fun. It's been a while since we've been able to get in here and just dice it up.
Way too long.
Give me a closing comments on Lincoln Riley.
Listen, they call him the bitch out west, Tebow, right? And that's what Sooner fans are calling him because he took the easy way out instead of developing a program to a higher level than it was. And honestly, I think I've set my ways in this one. I think he's just a really good offensive coordinator. It's just where I stand at it.
Fraud. I'm calling it now. He's a fraud QB whisperer. Everybody says he's the guy. He's a fraud. Develop Malachi Nelson. Stop hitting the portal for your next guy. Develop the talent you got at home. And then I'll say that you are a QB whisperer, okay? Stop going after these top guys that are already coming out of high school as 5-star dudes and proving that they can handle it and sling the rock around and go to a program and do their thing. And then you come in and just all you're doing is polishing, bro. You're not out there chipping away, making the diamond. You're just polishing up the stone that looks good. That's all he's doing.
Agreed.
I'm Nino Brown. It's my guy, Boomer, a.k.a. Jared Gray. This is the CFB Nation. We love the smoke. We're here for all the controversial talk. We could be back again very, very shortly. But until then, Boom, take us away.
Let's go.